flag. Hips, my nails, hair, hips, heels, nails, hair, hips.
That's why you should be shouting.
Hi, I'm Kane, I'm 30, I'm older than her by 1 year, and a photographer. And
I'm a photographer.
And first thing I got a message from my mother that said, "You are dead to me. And if I die, don't come to my funeral." And for me, that was it. That was.
And then the tattoo, and then the message was literally like, okay, like, she's done.
What the hell?
So I always felt like, maybe I am.
You don't have. Oh, I'm so sorry. I want a boyfriend like that too. Where did you find him?
Here in Vietnam. Yeah, he found me.
Well, I stole her hat, and then I ran after her, and then...
So that's how they met.
Our show like about LGBT community, and this couple is just what is related to our
Yeah,
show.
you guys look really like
about this
a perfect couple right now.
Yeah.
I think for us, mainly it was that my first sexual experience was with a girl, and it was interesting to talk about queer culture with Kane because like, I identify as like, I fall in love with whoever I fall in love with.
Oh.
I don't necessarily like, I'm not full on gay or lesbian, or even like, I don't see myself as like bisexual. I see myself more as like, whoever attracts you, that's the person you fall in love with.
Pansexual, isn't it?
Queer.
Queer,
She says that it's queer, right?
yeah. So I'm queer, I deserve to be here.
Yeah, good reason. So how about Kane?
No, I
straight?
Yeah, I'm straight, and unlike Iris, I didn't grow up with any like LGBT community or any. I had like one gay friend, and that was it. And it was interesting when we first got together because then she was like, showed me stuff like RuPaul's Drag Race and opened up a whole area, like a whole subculture I'd never really been embraced with.
And you did. That was the temptation. They love him. They love him. The gay guys.
Really?
Yeah. They'll be like, "Oh, Kane."
Kane, come here.
Yeah. I think he loves it too because he's always like, "Oh."
Well, now I started
Yeah, they love me.
filming a video with Iris about like her becoming a drag queen. So I've been involved a lot more within the gay community in Vietnam.
How long you both live in Vietnam?
In total, I've been living in Vietnam for 4 years. I used to live here 3 years, and then I moved to Thailand, and I lived here 3 years, and then I came back, and I've been here for 1 year now.
How about?
Yeah, I lived here 1 year before I met Iris.
So how long have you guys been together?
6 years.
6 years.
6 years ago, he stole her hat.
In my heart. We actually started off with having an open relationship.
So it was an open relationship,
Yeah.
and then somehow it just became monogamous.
We were first like sex buddies, like friends with benefits. Yeah.
You know that?
Yeah.
Do you have one?
No. Did you know about your sweetheart sexuality when you first met?
No, when we first met, Iris was really hard to talk to. Iris wouldn't speak a lot about her emotions. She would be very guarded. And then after a few years went by, she started opening up a lot more and talking about her past. And then she told me a lot about her childhood. And then, and then she came out about that. And
because I was so introverted at the time, like I went through like a lot of depression because my upbringing was really abusive, very emotionally abusive and stuff. And then I started to talk to him because we had gone back to Belgium and visited my family, and then when we left, it was drama again, and I was kind of tired. And I said, you know, I just wanna like feel confident enough to go outside. I want. When I spoke to him about my first sexual experience, I was like, I was really young. I was in boarding school at the time. I was like, you know, really young, no one, and I was like in my own like kind of confused. And when I like became older, I had all my queer friends. Still, I didn't. Because to me it was like, oh, you have to be a lesbian, and I'm not full lesbian, so I don't know what's going on.
You don't really know what you all really fit in, right?
I still like didn't really speak about it, but I relate more with queer people, so they kind of became my family. Afterwards, when they were gone, I was very lonely. I was like, but where do I belong? You know, and if I can't relate to my own family, who am I?
Yeah. And through all of this, you stuck by her.
Yeah, that's right.
That's great. Was it difficult for you being the supportive boyfriend?
Well, Iris is also like extremely supportive of what I want to do as well, and me opening up as well. So Iris is like, I think it's a give and take 100%. But there was a period that was difficult when Iris wouldn't leave the house for, I think it was nearly 2 months or something. It was about when you initially got the text back, and then it was just kind of like,
Yeah, that was like my darkest time.
yeah, there was a period that was really hard, and I had to get food, but like, yeah, bit by bit, and now, yeah, flourished into this colourful fucking unicorn. What's this?
That's thing, and then they turn into a butterfly.
A thing that caterpillar.
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 Yes, I was a caterpillar in my cocoon, and now I get to be a butterfly.
Oh.
It's a lot more fun. You can fly around and stuff.
So what, if I may ask, what was the whole childhood thing about? Like what happened?
For a long time, I actually had like a anger inside of me, because mine comes mostly from my mother, my grandmother. She had my mother when she was 13 years old. She was also kicked out of her house because she got pregnant so young. So she was stuck with a child, and she kind of turned her anger towards my mother. And then she ended up having like 8 more kids or whatever in Dominican Republic. So my mother grew up kind of,
Angry woman.
Yeah, angry. And she moved out of the house when she was 16 because she got pregnant with my brother. And then the chain of destruction just continues.
So you have an older brother.
I have 3 more siblings, and we all, it's very like hard because I talk to one of them now because of my family situation. I think kind of like in Vietnamese culture, in Dominican culture is the same, like you stick to your family and you don't question your parents, you don't question the structure. But in my case, it was either I question it or I literally kill myself because I was going to like severe suicidal thoughts. And I was like, I can't, like.
When was that? Like what age?
It was 4 years ago.
So the childhood, did you go to school in Dominican?
I lived in the Dominican Republic until I was 6 years old. And then my mother was already living in Belgium because she got married and she, moved to Belgium, and she brought us over then, me and my 2 brothers. I was in boarding school until I was like 13 years old. It's weird because I didn't grow up with my mother. I stayed with my grandmother. Really traumatizing because my grandmother still has a lot of issues, and my brother is half white and half black. So she would treat my brother better because he was lighter skinned, and would treat us.
Racism from your own family?
Yeah, because my grandmother is half white, half black. And she got pregnant by a black man. So I think she kind of has hate for it because it's like, got pregnant with you and you stole my childhood. And when I, because I was going through this depression, I'm like, why am I depressed? Why do I always feel like this? And then I always talked to him, and he always wanted the best for me. He's like, come out, let's go do things, and I'm always like inside the house, just like, I don't feel like anything. I don't want to do anything. I just want to kind of disappear. And then after I educated myself, I got a tattoo, like a little tattoo, my only tattoo. Yeah. And it says, I'm singing in the rain. When I got that tattoo, I posted it on social media. And first thing, I got a message from my mother that said, you are dead to me. And if I die, don't come to my funeral. And for me, that was it. So she said, because if you can't drink alcohol before you're 28 years old, because she drank when she was 28, and you can't get tattoos, you can't get piercings. For me, it's like, that's a form of self-expression. And I wanted, I had just realized like, oh, it's not me, it's this trauma system. And I said, you're literally stabbing my heart.
And how can you deal with it?
For me, it was just like, either I jump off a bridge, or, okay, I'm dead to you, I love you because you're my mother, but now I realize this is your problem. This is not my problem, because this tattoo represents something different to me. It represents my freedom and me taking my life back. And then I cut all contact. I went block. on the social media, and I told him I blocked her. I don't want anything to do with it, and I'm gonna try and live a good life for me.
That is 100% what you should do.
But it's hard. You know, it sounds beautiful in theory, but I've been working on myself for 4 years, and I feel like I've only like made a little progress.
It is interesting when we look back at like the tattoo was literally the full stop of like, okay, no contact anymore. Like Iris was telling me about her upbringing, and then the tattoo and then the message was literally like, okay, like she's done. It's hard after that for you, I think, but then after that you just skyrocketed.
In my family structure, it was like, how dare she block her mother? How dare she, you know, like
cut the
contact. Yes, how dare she? You don't do that to your mother.
Yeah.
But nobody stopped and thought, but how do you feel? You know, how do you feel? The last contact I had with all my family members was, why aren't you talking to your mother? Everybody's basically coming at me when all I did was defend myself. I didn't say anything bad to her. I didn't, you know, and I was like, well then, until you guys fix yourself and you understand that we all have a right to a voice, then I can't talk to you either. So I was like, I deleted the group chat and I just decided I wanna see where my life can go. After like I caught contact with my family, I made a video, my first ever YouTube video, and I just put on the camera and I was like, I need to just let it out. I need to talk. And I was just like this. And I just talked forever and I cried. I was like, I'm not gonna stop the camera because I need to let something out. And I let it out, I posted it, and then I had a lot of girls that talked to me like, oh, I have the same, like you, like breaking that cycle made me actually feel like I'm not disconnected. There's a lot of people like me.
There's a lot of people like us, man.
Yeah.
Thinking about your childhood, what were some key points that you could distinguish as being the most difficult things to get over?
For me, like going outside is really weird. But if I didn't have him with me or I wasn't with a group of friends, just leaving the house for me was terrifying.
Why?
Because I always felt judged by people. You know, I felt like everybody was looking at me and I was like, I don't want people to see me. I don't want... When you have 20 plus years of somebody tell you, don't wear this, don't do that, don't do that. And also like the way I was brought up, my mother used to always tell me, you have no personality, you just copy your friends.
What?
What the hell?
So I always felt like, maybe I am.
You don't have... Oh, I'm so sorry. Take a second, don't worry.
Yeah. But
It's
anyways,
okay to cry it all out.
I've cried enough. Yeah, so it was really hard because, I think had I not met him, I don't know where I would be. I really don't.
We kind of like cross paths at the right point, really.
So CHÄN is the man that make you believe in yourself?
Yes and no. I don't think so much he made me believe in myself. I think he just was the person that allowed me to just figure out myself. Like he was just there and he's like, the first time actually, when we just got together, I used to give people silent treatment. When like, if you have an issue, like I would just stop talking or I would just disappear and people wouldn't hear from me for like ever. He came to me and he was like, look, I really like you, but if you don't talk to me, I can't have a relationship with you. And for me, that was like the first time somebody told me something that I was hard to hear, but it also made me like, he really cares about me. Like he really likes me enough to tell me what's wrong.
And what's funny is you're so much better at talking than I am now.
Yeah, now I'm better at talking than him.
And she just sat there like, I'm gonna make a YouTube video. She's like, do you wanna join me? I'm like,
No, not really.
I'll just sit here.
I'll be behind the camera.
Yeah.
Right now, I think the reason why I like to dress like creatively, I want to live life unapologetically.
Yeah.
You know? I don't want to...
Hey, get goosebumps, huh?
On the way here, people are like... and I'm like, oh, you know, whatever. And
this is me. Deal with it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What about CHÄN? Does CHÄN have any problems?
So many.
I also have quite a low self-esteem. Like Iris has to literally kick my ass to do a lot of stuff. Like I grew up doing art my whole life, but I kept pretty much all my work to myself, or I threw it away. I was really, really self-destructive, especially with my own work. And then Iris is literally being
self-destructive with your own work.
Yeah.
That's his own design that he's wearing as well.
Oh my gosh!
With his own art on it. So I was like, he's so creative, you know, and it's sad to see somebody so creative and he doesn't see it.
Not believing in themselves, eh?
Yeah, Iris has really, really guided me in like for a gazillion and one things. Like
we guided each other, you know.
Yeah.
They belong together. Like, fully.
Don't say that. Next we were like broken up. It's like, oh, shit.
Have you ever have a like serious conversation with your mom about your sexuality before?
I never had the chance. Now I think of all the things that I wish I had with my mother. Like I wish I had the conversation about sexuality. I wish I could ask her questions about like, you know, like, oh, if I like a girl, that's like, you know.
You met her at a time that she lost her confidence. How can you help her to deal with it?
Like we said earlier, like Iris just had a hard time with speaking. So the more we were together, the more she started speaking, the more like she became more confident.
When I met people, I was still like just, you know, reserved, but they liked me for my aesthetic, and that made me again become more confident. So it's just like, okay, I learned to speak. Okay, I learned to have aesthetic of like, I like what I wear. Okay, I have colorful hair and people are not scared and run away from me.
Okay, I've got 2 questions, but the first one I'm gonna ask is, what is the most memorable thing between the two of you?
For me, personally, like I think the first time I saw him cry.
Yeah.
Oh, please tell, please tell.
What it was about either.
I think actually it might have been like when we were talking about my upbringing or something, your expression and stuff. And I had never seen like a man cry like just out of like, oh, I feel bad for you kind of thing. So I find that,
And for you?
I have so many good memories of Iris, I can't think of one. My one's always like a lot more like funny. Like Iris has more of like emotional ones, and I'm like, remember time we got.
Like with the two of you, what is the key? What is the magic? What is the... If you could name 3 things.
3 things?
Yeah.
I would name one.
Communication.
Communication.
Yeah, that's what you said at the same time.
Communication.
Communication.
And that's something I've actually having a weird time with. Like Iris has got so much better at it now. And like sometimes when I'm feeling like a bit shit, I don't know how to necessarily get my point across. Whereas Iris is like, well, specifically, what is it you feel? And Iris does a little detective thing, and then she's like, well, you're probably feeling this because of this, and then I'm like, oh, okay. But also, like, if there's an issue, we normally talk it out.
Because if you can talk to somebody, you grow to love them more. You learn about them, you learn about yourself, you learn about, oh, we have a problem, how do we solve it? Everything comes from communication, I think.
How about you? What do you think is a key in a true love relationship?
I have no love experience because I never had such a lovely love like this. If I have many experience and it is good, I can have a good relationship like you both.
But
it wasn't easy though. It was years of was like the first it wasn't easy at the start. Like we both had arguments like normal couples.
Oh, you asked for like 3 things.
Oh yeah, I need
3.
2 more.
Okay,
I need 2 more.
Fancy hair.
Fancy hair. Okay, fancy hair.
That's not true because I've had no hair. And
you were Wesley Snipes for a while.
I had no hair,
and he still loved you.
And he still,
yeah.
It's not the hair. It's not the hair.
Not the hair.
Must be something else. No, I think empathy.
Yeah.
Empathy. Yeah. Truly trying to understand somebody.
Yeah. For me, the 3rd one would be boundary.
Oh, boundaries.
So also knowing when to say, okay, yeah, maybe I'm empathetic and you're angry with me and I understand you're angry, but I don't deserve this. And if the other person has the same mindset as you, they will be like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm hurting you. Because then you both have empathy, right? So then it's like, oh, I'm angry. Oh, I'm sorry that I hurt you because I was angry. Let's talk about it.
And then it goes back to the communication.
And then it goes back into communication and, you know, just...
That's how you help each other grow. Like watering each other.
Yeah.
That's how.
And then the vase gets thrown on my head. I'm joking.
What's the worst thing that happened to you? Like what you did to each other?
Why are you so jealous like that?
No, come on.
She's trying to find the where's the crack? Where is the crack?
Such a bad way to interview.
I used to just like not come home because I grew up within the skateboard community and growing up skating, like sometimes you don't come home until like 4 or 5 a.m. And then Iris would be very like, okay, we're gonna have food tonight and, you know, watch a movie and stuff. And I'm like, all right, cool. And then I would come home at like 4. And then she would just be like, this was a long time ago now, but like it was still like...
The first year, like...
The first year, she was just like, where have you been? I'm like, yeah, I've been out filming, skating, and drinking beer all night. And that was just part of the culture I grew up with. So for a while, it was very hard for me to kind of be like, oh, you don't have to, you know, communication again.
We were kind of contrast because I was too insecure to go outside and he grew up outside. So then we were like, okay, we're actually
opposites.
We're really opposite. Now I can see that that's what I needed because now I hang out with the skateboarders.
Yeah,
so now I stay
the
outside.
Skateboarders, they're such cool people.
And they just embrace each other.
Good hearts.
But I think that's also after getting more involved in his life, when you don't feel like you have a strong family, you will find a family elsewhere. You will create your own family.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
I read a book that says you should move with your happiness. Happiness does not stay in one place. It moves.
That's true.
Do you have a question?
I'm just curious that, do you know the differences about the LGBT community in your country and in my country, in Vietnam?
In Belgium, it's weird because when I moved out of my house when I was about 16 years old, and I don't know if you know a lot about Antwerp, where I grew up. It's like a really old city, but really small, really small. Everybody literally knows each other. But LGBTQ community is like tiny.
Yeah, just a group.
It's just a group. Back in the day, like we felt very safe. I felt very safe with my friends and stuff. But as soon as you left the club or a party or your friend's house, like my best friend is a super tall, gorgeous man, like model height. My friend was more feminine than me, so he was like, if you saw him on a picture, girls would be like, oh, he's so beautiful, and then you meet him, he's like, hey there. But when we used to like leave the house, then he got assaulted a lot. A bunch of guys would come and be like, hey, you, like, you know, you faggot, and they would like beat him always. And I was tiny, so it's like, you know, I can like swing, but what can I really do? So I feel like back then, like I saw that happen a lot in Belgium with my friend. Even like when we were in middle of the daylight, we were waiting for the bus to go to school, and somebody would just pass and like hit him and just keep walking, just for no reason. Well, for I guess a reason. Their reason is like, you make me feel uncomfortable, and I never experienced that in Vietnam.
Ever? No.
I never experienced that. I feel like here, people might be conservative, but they have respect for each other in that way that I don't know like how like deep into Vietnamese culture if it does happen, but at least from my perspective, I've never seen abuse happen on somebody just because they're feminine or because they choose to, you know, wear whatever they want to do. Like people just leave you alone. They might say something, but they won't touch you and stuff like that.
I feel like the LGBT community, especially for foreigners here, is very safe. But I'm not so sure how it is for Vietnamese people.
Some place like in the countryside where the education standard is low, this thing happen.
Ah, really?
Yeah. So you both have your future plan in Vietnam or somewhere?
I would love to, like, ideally, in my perfect bubble, I would love to live and work between here and Japan.
Yeah.
I love Japan.
That's both our...
So, you have any message to share with the LGBT community?
I love that the young people now, they're taking like the control a little bit and be like, no, we want the next generations to have more knowledge about everything.
No more taboo topics.
Exactly, no more taboos, no more like having feelings that you can't explain and stuff like that. So I love that direction.
I guess for me, it's very similar to the skateboarding subculture. It does feel exactly like pretty much a similar, obviously it's a lot flashier, a lot louder than the thing. But it's basically the same kind of structure like she said earlier about it. It feels like it's kind of more of a family unit. And so I guess my advice would be if your family doesn't work at home, make a new family.
Make a new family.
For me, like I want to continue creating. Like I think for me it's very important because I just like started now doing like daily videos, just random with my phone and like talking of every day, just to get myself more like even more confident within myself, because I still have a lot of work to do there. So I want to do that and incorporate that with my creations and grow my fashion, you know, my fashion line. And we've been working together on like a little series. We don't have it out yet, but because he's a great like filmer. Like he films with a VX.
Oh wow!
It's like a skateboard
That's
camera.
skill.
The old one from
old camera. So
still shooting tape.
yeah, we've been like kind of having little projects between the two of us, and we just want to like bring that out, and yeah, it's just like film and create and.
Okay, so this is the hard part where I have to say goodbye to you guys. And I'm really thankful for you guys sharing your story and making me incredibly jealous about how true your love is for each other. Is there anything you wanted to add?
Oh, I just want to say thanks to both of you that coming with us today and then share your stories. Thank you.
Thank you guys for having us.
Yeah, safe.